Today I'm going to be talking about my tackle and about how I kind of do my setup on my pier and fishing and compared to like doing my boat fishing and then obviously like my kayak and this and that. So let me go ahead and flip the camera around. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so first off, when I do kayak fishing, I tend to just take a little tiny thing with a bunch of hooks and weights. This is for my bass fishing. That's what I mainly do when I'm in my kayak. I don't really go in the ocean because it's a paddle kayak. So, and usually when I go kayaking, I got my son with me. So we just paddle around and have a good day. Here's my little weight container. This is what I just kind of store in my truck. It's just a cheap little container, Plano box or whatever you want to call it. And I just fill it full of a bunch of weights that I got. And then I try to keep them semi-organized, you know, so that way I know what I got. Because the last thing you want to do is be out there and not have a weight when you're getting a good hit. And I use this for fresh and salt water. And that's another reason, as you can see, this is not a waterproof one. Because it's weights. And as you can see, there's nothing but weights in there. And that's all I keep in there. So that keeps... I don't have to worry about the salt water getting to it. Now, as you can see, this is a fresh. This one is a waterproof one, and as you can see, the reason it's waterproof is because I got hooks in here and jig heads and stuff. Now, I try to keep a good assortment of circle hooks, nice small ones to all the way to big ones. I got a couple steel leaders in case I'm trying to catch a shark or something, and then just a wide range, a bunch of swivels too, just old swivels that I'll be making a video on how I get so many of those. So, but yeah, and then, some bass hooks, some regular shank hooks and bait hooks. I like the ones with the barbs. My wife, she likes to use these ones that have the barbs on the back. They're called bait holders or whatever. And she likes the straight shank ones. And I do too when I'm doing certain types of fishing. Like if I'm doing on a bobber or something, it tends to work a lot better because then you can keep the shrimp in line compared to like those circle hooks. You really only got one place you can hook it in. It's on top of the horn or maybe in the back of the tail. But even then, So, but yeah, I made sure this one's a waterproof one because it has my hooks. And that's just, keeps them from getting all rusty and stuff, because some of those hooks can actually get pretty expensive. And then I just got a backup Plano for all these hooks that I got from my neighbor. He ended up just giving me like tons of just tackle and bait and hooks, and these are just all little tiny straight shank hooks and weird hooks that I don't really use. I think it's mainly for like crappie and stuff like that, and then a couple little bass hooks and this and that. So that's that, Let's go ahead and get to my tackle. I take one little tiny tackle box that I tend to just have some junk in. We'll go ahead and go over what's in there. I keep a couple of, obviously a lure, a few lures that I like spoons and this and that. And then a popping cork, a knife, pliers to get stuff out, an extra battery for my little live well thing that I use for keeping my shrimp alive, a tape to measure everything, some Dr. Juice, that's always good, a couple popping corks down in the bottom, a couple more spoons. Now here's the meat and potatoes. Really, I always keep a couple these Zambiki rigs or whatever they're called, and I like keeping them in a little bit different of sizes. Like one will have semi big hooks that glow in the dark, blah blah blah, and a little bit bigger, and then, even a little bigger ones that are about the same size. And then obviously you always keep the real small ones, because those work good. Leader line, some fish bites. I haven't been having too much luck on that lately, and then just a bunch of soft plastics, some homemade soft plastics that I've been making, and, some Salt Strong stuff that I got, some more line, just some 25-pound test to retie on, a bunch of extra hooks, jig heads, and this and that, and then a backup circle hook container down there, a bunch of weights. I like these little circle things because you can, you know, do a bunch of different ones in there. Some steel leaders, and then that container down there is just slap full of just a bunch of different weights because, you know, we're always doing pure fishing and fishing like that. Okay. So that's just the one that I kind of take on the boat, or when I go pure fishing, I throw that in my little cart because it fits real nice and it's perfect. It actually fits in my cart like really perfect. And then obviously, you know, everybody's got one of these big old things that opens side to side. It's multi-tiered. Let me get this thing open for you. And as you can see, I got just tons of lures. I got so many lures, it's ridiculous. You know, this thing is practically just full of lures from time of collecting lures and buying lures and this and that. And you know, be honest. And then obviously I got knives, hooks, bells for when I'm fishing at night and this and that. And then on the bottom, popping corks, backup corks. There's a bunch of extra hooks. Oh yeah, those are extra hooks, a tape, some more swivels, and then swivels underneath there. You know, some more backup hooks. That's just like an assorted thing of hooks or whatever. And then I keep these leaders here from when we go to D&D. These are cool little leaders. Those are a little big. Where's the ones that I usually use? Okay, see, these are about the perfect size. We use these because there's a lot of oysters and stuff, and the snapper don't really care about the leader line. They'll eat it no matter what. If there's a shrimp on there, they're going to eat it. And then I just got a bunch of other little leaders and this and that and stuff. And this is more or less just my lure tackle box. And what I do is I keep all my lures in here, and I try not to open this when I'm out fishing, because if I do open it, I close it right back. Because like say you're on the Skyway Bridge Pier, which I'm going to soon. If like you go and you leave this wide open, all of this tackle right here, all these hooks will just get corroded and salt covered. So that's one good pro tip, is just make a tackle box for all like your lures and stuff, and try not to be opening it. That's why I have that little tackle box with like 1 or 2 lures, so that way I don't ruin all my lures. You know what I mean? Because the last thing you want is to ruin all your lures. So here we go. I'll pause you for a second. All right, see, now this is my freshwater tackle, and I use a ton of braid when I do freshwater. So I always got scissors in here and a razor knife, extra jig head, just little things like that. Obviously good hooks. I like good hooks. I like these Gatsumoto hooks. You can tell I got them on the bottom so I don't lose them. But yeah, these Gatsumoto hooks are, really good. I like them. And I like the way that they're offset because they help with my worms. We use a lot of worms down here in Southwest Florida, and a lot of grubs and this and that. And I tend to, do pretty good. Obviously, I got a bucket of bobbers just like in the other one. These are just regular bobbers. And then, obviously all the little baits and, lures that I use. I like poppers, so as you can tell, they're all up top. I tend to do a lot of poppers and a lot of frogs because I like top water. Hopefully I can get some of that on camera this summer. I haven't really been doing much. And then, just soft plastics. Boy, freshwater is all about the soft plastics. I got tons of soft plastics. So, and that's about it. And, big old crazy spoon. So, all right, let me go ahead and flip you around and we'll talk some more about some stuff. So I tend to really like razor knives because they cut really good and they're good for cutting braid. So I like these, ones that can contract or at least fold over so that way they're not exposed. You always got to have good pliers. These are actually made for putting rings on, taking those rings off from the treble hooks or whatever. And I really like this pair. It's magnetic. It has a knife. Just all kinds. And it's I don't even know what kind. I don't even remember where I got it. But anyways, and I like the fact that it has a little holder, so I can, when I go kayak fishing, I can have that. And then you got these ring teeth up front. So when you go to you push that in, and then it'll open the ring, and then you can, as you can see, it's got little teeth, and you can spin the ring off. And then these are actually, you could crimp steel leader crimp parts. So yeah, I like keeping these little tiny things I get off of Amazon or whatever when they come with, you know, dumb stuff that you order. And what I do is this was actually a frog kit. It came with a bunch of frogs, and the only reason I bought it is because there was 3 frogs that I really liked, and there was 2 tiny ones that nobody ever uses, so I didn't use it. But I knew I could take this and use it as a good container to go kayak fishing. And I like the fact that I can keep all my hooks separate, so I know which size hooks I'm using, because sometimes using a straight shank hook will actually get you a lot more bites, especially down here. And I always like the waterproof ones. I bought this one to put on my boat, so that's a brand new one I just bought, because my other one I cracked stepping on it. So, but yeah, I got tons and tons of little Plano boxes. So as you can see, Plano boxes that are just empty, that I'm probably going to be sticking in the garage. Yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Another little trick that I like to do is, as you can see with these Zambiki rigs, I'll show you right now what I usually do. They come with a swivel here already, you know, so you just take something and you cut the line off, and then see, remember how I said I got tons of swivels? Right there, that's a free swivel, you know what I mean? You already bought it, so you might as well at least get the swivel. And then you get the one from the top too. And if you do a lot of crappie fishing, or you actually like catching a lot of bluegill or whatnot, you can actually take these hooks off of here, cut them off, and you'll have a ton of little tiny hooks. I mean, I've already got so many that it's crazy, because especially that's why I like buying the Zambikis that have a little bit bigger of a hook. See, these are like really, really tiny hooks. I was using this when I was at the other pier. They're really small, but you can just go ahead and cut these off. Sometimes they actually make them to where there's no way to cut them off. They're actually crimped on. Yeah, see, this kind was like that. They actually just crimped them on. So there's no eyelet. They just wrap it around it and then put some sealant on it. So that's why I don't like that brand of Zambiki rig that I bought last time. But the bigger ones almost always have the eyelet that they tie on to, so that's pretty cool. Another trick that I like to do is I'll take a whole Zambiki rig and I'll cut it in half. I'll add one of these little snap swivels down at the bottom, and then whatever swivel that I got from the other one, I'll just add to the top, you know, and that's why I keep a lot of the swivels and gear that comes from it, because I take those Zambiki rigs and I cut them down. I'll cut them in half. One, it makes it a lot better to store them, and I keep little things like this, or, you know, little old hook containers that are plastic. And as long as you don't ball that Zambiki rig up real bad, you can actually reuse it a couple times. But I like using half of one, because once you get those flies too wet, the little paperbacks on the back of them, a lot of times they just corrode or they get hard or whatever, and then it just doesn't work as well. So that's why I like cutting them in half, because if there's 6 or 8 of them on there, I mean, if you're doing a Zambiki rig, you're not catching, you know what I mean, 8 or 6 fish on the rig every time. So it's kind of better to just cut them in half, like I said, and do that. So, but yeah, if you've been liking my videos, please hit the like, subscribe, click that bell for more notifications, and let me know if there's any other videos in the comments of stuff that you guys want me to make. I've been thinking about making some videos this summer, now that my son's gonna be home, and we'll do some videos of kayak stuff, like, because he likes to go kayaking. So that'll be cool. All right. Yeah. Click that bell.